Hey everyone, Stride here, and today I wanted to record a bit of a different video from my normal style. I see a lot of new players coming into the Rainbow Six community every day. In yesterday's video I played with two people who had gotten the game the day before. This didn't make them the greatest, but neither am I. But it got me thinking, there are probably a lot of people who want to know where to start when they first pick up the game. I was like that too, and let me preface this by saying that I've only been playing the game on a consistent basis for about 3 months, so my skill level is not impressive, and I still have a lot to work on. However, I do think that I have some valuable tips that, if you're just starting out, could help you prepare for competitive or just higher skilled games in general. I tried to keep these tips as personal to my own experiences as possible and didn't watch other content to try and find some that I could just copy into my own video, so hopefully you come out with at least one new tip today. Tip number 1, try not to stress yourself out. When I was first starting out, I watched some Siege YouTubers that were absolutely godlike in their mechanical skills and map awareness. And I'll be honest, it spooked me a little bit. I started having doubts about whether I would ever improve or if my gameplay was going to be stagnant in growth compared to the skills of the pros, when in reality, all I needed to do was worry about having a good time and enjoying the game. After I did that, I started to feel like my skills were seeing some actual improvement. Tip number 2, work on placing your crosshair. When I began to play Rainbow, I felt as if I was getting beaten in gunfights almost all the time. I felt like I was simply being outplayed. However, when I learned how much of an impact the initial crosshair placement could have on my game, and I started making it a habit to aim for the head, I started noticing that I was having a much easier time killing my opponents. The same thing applies to prone to crouched enemies. It's difficult to know what position they're going to be in, but training yourself to be able to flick to the crouching or prone position could be the make or break moment that wins you gunfights. Tip number 3, listening skills. What I see a lot of newcomers struggling with is identifying where enemies are. One of the most valuable tools we have when it comes to recognizing different positions held or movements made by operators is sound. Almost everything in Rainbow has its own unique sound. This is for the purpose of distinguishing what that thing may be, whether it's a gadget or an operator. Some things like enemies have distinct sounds for things like different movements and speeds. For example, it would be way easier to hear Tachanka sprinting down a hallway than it would be for Bandit. You can actually hear what I'm talking about in the following clip.
Op 4 found a bomb. You must defend it. Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it.
This is because of his speed, which my guess is that it ties directly to weight as it would be for real life. Another example of sound assisting you is with certain gadgets like the C4. If you don't have an IQ on your team, your sense of hearing can oftentimes keep you from walking right into an explosive trap. If the enemy planted something like a C4, you'd be able to hear it. The C4 sound is an annoying beep like this.
You have located. We have been eliminated.
Tip number 4, positioning and angles. To be completely honest, most of my deaths in Rainbow to this day happen to be caused by my lack of efficient positioning. It plays a key role in determining your visibility to enemies, and it oftentimes determines the outcome of the round, or at least your life. As an example for this tip, my friend Nate did a very good job of visualizing a common positioning mistake people make. It's not exactly a Picasso piece, but I feel like it does a very good job at explaining the difference between good and bad positioning. If you can't really understand this drawing, I will show a visual representation in-game. Tip number 5, set personal goals and improvement challenges. Something that helped me as I was starting to slowly improve throughout my games was setting small realistic goals inside my head that I knew I had a good chance of completing. It could be something as easy as getting an extra kill or making better callouts. But they did help me feel good about my gameplay and like I was actually making visible improvements. And with that tip, I'm going to wrap up the video here. I really enjoyed making this one for you all, and I hope you feel like you can walk away from this video with a few tips that may help you step up your game. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and possibly subscribing, as it does help me out a ton in terms of what people want to see next. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one.